Good morning. All right, so here we go. Day two of multiplying, dividing radicals. So we're taking our time yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So we're going to really make this make sense. So I'm going to do just these 6 problems today for a little more review, and then you'll see some of this in today and tomorrow's work. So I'll go one by one. So the first one is radical 10b times 3 radical 6b to the third power. So first things first, follow the rules that we learned yesterday. Multiply outside by outside, there's a 1 right there. So this is going to equal 3 radical. Multiply like terms, 10 times 6 is 60. B times b to the third. Remember yesterday we did this, we did x squared times x to the third. You just add the exponents when multiplying. We'll go heavy into depth on this later. But just for now, just memorize that we're going to be adding exponents when multiplying numbers with the same base or letters with the same base. So you can just literally add this invisible 1 to this 3 and you get b to the 4th power. We're not done yet. Now I gotta see what this simplifies by. So 60 does divide by one of our magical square root numbers. 60 divided by 4, and that's 15. Duh. Waking up. Alright, so I got 4 and 15. Okay? Now the 4 comes outside as a 2, and we by now know that this multiplies by the number in front of this, so this is now going to say 6, but the 15 will be on the inside because that's not a perfect square. B to the 4th, remember, b to the 4th comes outside as b to the 2nd because I just do this exponent divided by this invisible 2 right here because this is the square root. 4 divided by 2 is b to the 2nd. So there's no more b's underneath the square root, and I'm left over with just a 15. That is how you do one like that. I'll leave this up and I'll do another one underneath it. So now I got square root of 5x to the third times square root of 5x. Do the math, 5 times 5. This is square root of 25. X to the third times x. You add those exponents and you get x to the 4th. This one's really nice. This whole thing comes outside as a 5. And this comes outside as a x to the 2nd. Because remember, you do power 4 divided by root 2. And you get to the power of 2. Okay? Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 says negative 3 square root of 2x times 4 plus 2 radical 6x squared. All right. Now, here's how we do this one. Let's make this, all right, remember, distributive property, this times this, and then this times this. So you can only multiply the negative 3 and the 4, so you're going to get a negative 12 radical 2x, okay? That just stays as such. Now you do this times this, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, radical 2 times 6 is 12, x to the power of 1 times x to the power of 2 is x to the power of 3, okay? So now we're going to break this one down. 12 breaks down into a 4 and a 3. And this breaks up into a x squared and an x. Remember doing that yesterday? We always got to break this up into an even powered term to make it come outside as easy as possible. So now this will say negative 12 square root of 2x. This 4 comes outside as a 2. So negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. This x squared comes outside as an x because power 2 divided by root 2 is just power 1. And I'm left over with this 3 and this x. So I'm left over with 3 and x. And these are not like terms because these radicals have different expressions underneath them. Therefore, we are all done with that. Let's go on to dividing. Okay? Some very familiar from yesterday and maybe one new thing from yesterday. All right? So I got my radical 5 over my 3 radical 8. Now, again, I would always do the simplifying first, but again, you don't have to. It's just me. I want to make sure I get my numbers, keep them as low as possible. I get a 4 and a 2, so this 4 comes outside as a 2, so now this actually says radical 5 over 6 radical 2. Okay? And the rule is we cannot have a radical in the denominator. So you must multiply out that radical in the denominator. So your final answer will be radical 10 over remember radical 2 times radical 2 is 2, so this is really saying 6 times 2, and this is all over 12. Just like that, okay? There's number 4. Number 5, I will do right beneath it, and then I'll devote all that room to number 6. Number 5 says 3 minus radical 3 over 2 radical 6. Now you have not seen a problem like this, but we've done stuff like this given yesterday and just today with distributive property. So we're doing the same thing essentially. I cannot simplify radical 6, so I'm just going to multiply my radical 6 out on top and bottom. But now look, I have an expression upstairs. So now I got to put this in parentheses and know I'm multiplying this by radical 6. So I'm essentially doing this times this and this times this. All right? So now this says 3 radical 6, and this says minus radical 18 all over, well, again, this is 2 times radical 6 times radical 6, so that's just 2 times 6, all over 12. But we're not done just yet, because I got this guy right here. My 18 has a 9 and a 2 inside of it, and that 9 comes outside as a 3. So now this says 3 radical 6 minus 3 radical 2 all over 12. And now we are almost done, because I got to look. In this case, this worked out pretty nicely because I got a 3 and a 3 and a 12. So this is going to come out really nice and clean, because this is both going to reduce to 1/4, negative 1/4. So our final answer will be negative 6 minus radical 2 all over 4. And there's an invisible 1 there and there. Don't forget about that. And then the last but not least, number 6. Number 6. 5 minus radical 2 all over radical 12. Again, my advice to you is simplify first before multiplying this out. 4 and 3. So now this says 5 minus radical 2 all over 2 radical 3. Multiply that radical 3 out on top and bottom. Remember to put this top in parentheses and distribute this all the way across. So now I'm going to have, going down here, I'm going to have 5 radical 3 minus radical 6 all over. Remember, 2 times 3 is what you're essentially doing. So this is 6, and there is no way to simplify this because this is under the radical, this is not under the radical. So this would be our final simplified answer. This would be the extent of what you guys would see today and tomorrow and a test on Friday. Nothing more difficult than what you guys are looking at right here. All right, we'll see you all in class.